Hey, this is Bo back in the lounge. Want to do a shout out to the 1.5 million listeners for making zsportslounge.com their choice and the host of affiliates that resend out the channel. We have the opportunity to go to Army, talk a little football. Coach Robert Lyles, sir, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, Coach, you've got an interesting position. You got linebacker whips, working with some young guys, working with some mature guys. There's a lot going on with your program right now. The Army program has been talked about in a lot of circles. We've seen it mentioned in ESPN. It's a good day to be at Army.
Yes, it is. Right now, we're in the process of building our team up. We have a lot of underclassmen that are getting a lot of playing time early in the season, so we're looking forward to them really stepping in and just getting that experience and really performing well for us.
You know, when you've played in the pro circuits and come to Army, you've coached and played in both settings, pro and college. Isn't there a unique experience to be at a military program?
It definitely is. Having been on the pro level, playing, and then having to coach on the pro level as well. I feel myself, I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to be here and coach these young men. And basically, I look at it as if I'm giving back, but I'm also putting a part of myself into these young men as they develop into leaders of our future world. So I'm blessed to be here. I really enjoy it. It's a storied tradition here, birth of America, and I'm just proud to be here. And my goal is to be a part of turning the program around here so that we can turn it back into a winning program.
Yeah, in the 80s, there was some great teams that came through the 80s. I remember every time Army was up and the bowl games, I mean, just the fascination with the program. And then now, it seems like with the addition of the new faces and new coaches and the growth over the last 5 years, Army seems like it's regaining that image finally.
Yes, we are. The guys are beginning to really realize that, hey, you know what, we are the best. We're the best of the best, and we need to be that way on the field and off the field. And the young men that we have coming in now are really grasping the tradition of Army football. They're learning the history of it, and we're applying it to what we're doing today to kind of give them that extra sense of who they are and what they represent. And they're beginning to catch on, and we just hope that it just continues to grow and start to show up out on the field in a consistent way. We win one and we lose one. We're 2-2 right now, so we just want to get it consistently, that type of performance from them.
Yeah, the great thing, too, Coach, is that you've got a host of fans that follow Army, obviously in the military connections and the families, and there's even fans that aren't in the military that follow Army's program. That's probably why you're so televised at every one of your games.
Well, the Cowboys like to say they're America's team, right? Well, we're here to say that, Army football is America's true team, and that's why we have the following that we have. I mean, we have people not only here in America, but like you mentioned before, our servicemen over in all the other countries that are stationed and those that are out at war. They all, in some way, they get some type of information of what Army football is doing, streamlined through the computer or what have you. They're involved. Each week we wear a patch of a different division of the Army, and that's the attitude that the team takes into that game that particular week. And again, you're getting the history of what Army is all about as the soldiers are perspective, and we're taking that attitude and that philosophy and bringing it into the team for that week, and that's our way of honoring them for what they're doing at that moment.
Coach, now you're in charge of the LBs and whips, and I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to be honest on air. I don't know everything. I don't know what is a whip. I know in whip in politics is an under, I guess, a first time politician that comes into the Senate or the Congress. What is a whip?
Well, a whip linebacker, I don't know where the name came from, but a whip linebacker is a unique position. He has to play like a linebacker at times, then he has to play like a defensive tackle at times as well. So it takes a unique athlete to play that position, and he's also in charge of setting the front for our defense. So he has a lot of responsibilities, and the demand on him is enormous because, like I say, he has to sometimes be a defensive lineman, but he he has to be athletic enough to run out and cover running backs or to drop back into a zone, and then sometimes just be playing from a regular linebacker position at times. So it's a very versatile position, and you know, you say he's part this and part that, but he's a little bit of everything. Sometimes he's a big man, sometimes he's a small man. But that position is very challenging, and it's a very important position on our defense as a whole.
Well, yeah, definitely. To go from, you know, to slam up an offensive line, then to go back and running coverage with a wideout. He's got to be one of the most physical guys on the team.
Well, you like for him to be physical, powerful, explosive type of individual. That, you know, his responsibility demands those things of him. He has to be able to explode from 3 yards of depth and get into an offensive guard. He plays over the guard sometimes. Sometimes he's over the offensive tackle. So he has to be explosive enough to attack them from a position without lining up and just telling them what he's going to do every play. So that's a pretty challenging thing as far as an athlete is concerned. And you know, he has to be quick enough and fast enough and mobile enough to drop back into coverage or to again, go out and cover on a receiver or a running back coming out of the backfield. So it's a demanding position for that particular player.
Yeah, especially when you look at the setup of the college ranks is now moving towards speed. It's been more moving towards speeds the last 12 years, but I think right now a lot of programs who were not making the jump to having quicker guys, whether it's on the D-line, off-line, linebacker position, or even wideouts, now are really putting 110% of trying to acquire or make their guys faster. And having this guy, this whip, on the, you know, an LB obviously is awesome, but as a D-line to have somebody that has that penetration speed, there's probably some unique moments where he just flat out embarrasses the offensive line.
You know, we like to have a lot more of those, but he does have an opportunity to do that, especially coming from the position in which he's playing at times. And like I like to tell him and say, hey, when you get this defensive call, you can never be wrong. All you need to do is just attack, which is the premise of our whole defensive scheme is we're moving and we're attacking all the time. So a lot of times when he does attack his hole and just reacts to what the offensive lineman does, and he puts a move on him, you know, use some technique and get by him, it's pretty embarrassing. So it's a fun position to me. It's like being a linebacker and a strong safety sometimes, but I like it. I'm really impressed with the responsibilities that he has there. I would love to have played that position.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I can hear it in your voice, Coach. You've got an upcoming game with Tulane. You've got Vanderbilt. When you sit down with your linebackers and your whips and sit and outline their video preparation for it, how big is it to go over the position? The day and age of technology is probably even way past what I understand and what you saw even at the NFL level years ago. But how much is it changed and how much is it used more now than ever?
I think that more, like you mentioned, the technology is so much advanced now. So you can really take a film and video of a team's game and really break it down. I mean, to every type of situation, any type of information that you want to obtain out of it. And I think that's really, really impressive. Sometimes it's so much that it can be too much. It can be detrimental. But to be able to break a team down on their tendencies and their habits and sometimes even their personality, believe it or not, and what they like to do and who they like to say that they are on film, is pretty impressive. And for us, we need the edges that we can get. We can get an edge from there, or an edge from just watching them in person by scouting. What we can get, we seek that edge, and watching video is a big part of it, especially for our kids.
Yeah, we were talking to a lot of players in college who recently graduated. They went to the NFL level. A lot of them volunteer in the Detroit area and support a lot of high school squads. But we get a chance off, obviously, line and ask questions about how things have changed. And they're just blown away by the fact that it's even now still changing. They go back and the video preparation is milliseconds. They can actually, put a red dot on the guy they're supposed to cover. There's a line of nuances that the guy does when it's a running play, pass play. But as you said, Coach, sometimes it can be overboard where the kid doesn't work on what he does well. He is spending too much time focusing on what they do well.
Exactly.